Christmas? Not the high spiritual answer. What do you want? Anybody? Anybody have anything? Nobody wants anything for Christmas?
Wind chimes.
Wind chimes. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Anybody else? Santa's going to be lonely this year.
I'm not sure what I want. I couldn't think of anything. People were asking for suggestions of what to get for me, and I couldn't think of anything.
Okay.
Which was kind of weird.
I could take a new car.
New car?
Yeah.
What kind?
Oh, I don't know. Something really sturdy and efficient and automatic. Safe.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Anybody else? Anything?
Actually, I know what I want. I want a spotted miniature donkey. Because they're the cutest things that have ever existed.
Awesome. Lovely.
Not a stuffed one. For real.
So does anybody else have anything they want for Christmas?
It looked like a really, really, really nice new mattress.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. All right. Okay, I think there's one more out there. I just feel it. Somebody's gonna- I'm very patient.
Enlightenment splendor.
Nice. See, I knew it. Okay, very good, very good. Okay, now, this is the experience now. What does it feel like to just want something? You don't have to answer out loud, you can just feel. Like, whether you spoke something or not, what does it feel like to want something? A donkey, a mixer, a bed? Let's feel. Is there judgment that comes in? Is there hesitation? What happens to just want something? Is there doubt? Maybe something else happens. Maybe just speaking what you want has a different effect. Maybe the energy moves a little differently. I think I might want a new bell. This is not my bell. We have an incredible lot around wanting. We have an incredible lot of things that come up around wanting. Inhibitions, fears, again, judgments. We have a lot of things that come in and close down our wanting, that shut it down. You know, we reach for the cookie as a little kid, right? Can't have that, right? So that could make us feel like, I'll never reach for another cookie. Or it can make us feel like, I've got to get all the cookies I can whenever nobody's around. that avenue of wanting has been altered. You see? We want love, we want connection, we want companionship. But people turn away from us, or they smother us, or they give us love and attention and affection and companionship in ways that aren't quite attuned and don't feel quite right. They give us weird hugs or something that we don't like, or too much attention. So we want, and that want is met with maybe misattunement. So what happens then to that wanting? The flow of it has changed. But if you go back to the moment when I ask, what do you want? And something bubbles up and you finally just say it, I know what I want. What's that like? What's that moment like? Or even what's the moment like when you don't want anything or you won't say what you want? So I'm going to stipulate that life wants to be lived. That life wants to celebrate itself. And that you see that very natural in little babies and little kids who haven't been altered too much, too forcefully, too many times. They're curious, they're spontaneous, they're alive, they're vibrant, touching, feeling, looking, pointing, right? So what's happened? Are we there? Can we feel that aliveness? Can we feel that spark? Because it's not about necessarily wanting and getting the particular thing. Although, spotted donkey sounds pretty cool, sure, right? It has more to do with being able to want, being able to feel the wanting, being able to feel the aliveness that's in the wanting of a new bed or a Vitamix. Or a new bell. And I'm just curious, if anybody's in touch with that wanting, if you can kind of call that wanting out, where do you feel that in your body? Like when you just think of that thing that you want. Forget all the judgments and inhibitions, but if you just think of that thing and feel it in your body and breathe into it, where do you feel it? What happens inside? No right answer.
Are you asking us?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like a butterfly tingling sensation in my diaphragm.
In your diaphragm, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Butterfly tingling in your diaphragm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Like if there's like helium in it.
Like helium.
Yeah, like expanding and rising, like lightness.
Okay, rising lightness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Is that okay to have it up there?
Yeah.
Yeah? And how is it for you to notice that?
Interesting. Really interesting.
But what kind of interesting? Like, what's it? How does it
It
affect you?
almost feels like I wanna it almost feels uncomfortable, like in the sense that it makes me wanna get up, jump up or something.
Jump up? You
Yeah.
can if you want.
I'm good.
It's a yoga studio.
It feels very alive.
But notice that's the algorithm.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump up! Because that would be crazy. That would get back into our little. Let's get back into our little bucket here.
It feels almost like there's a string at me that could be just tug, yank, kind of tugging
Mm-hmm.
or something. And I could get yanked really quickly and it's
Ah. Yeah. So how is it making you feel to talk about this?
a little self-conscious.
Little self. Sure. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
But yeah, just that maybe that I shut it down, that I don't recognize it often.
Mm. And then the feeling of it is, what would be mad, sad, glad, scared? What would you?
Private,
Private.
keeping it to myself.
Okay. But what would the yanking is what I'm wondering about when you feel
Oh,
that.
the yanking?
Yeah.
Like joyous, happy.
Ah, I see.
Excited.
Okay. Okay. Hmm.
Yeah.
Joyous.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, do I remember what I called tonight? Didn't I call it the joyous expression? Joyous expression and
Like playful.
loosening the floodgates. Didn't I call it that? Yeah. Yeah. Playful.
Yeah.
Ah.
And unlimited and spontaneous.
Oh yeah. 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 Anybody else getting a sense of that?
I kind of feel it as a hunger.
As a
Sorry.
yeah. So tell me, a hunger.
Well, it kind of feels like a hunger that you would want from, get satisfied with food,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a fear in it too,
Yeah.
as if it's insatiable.
Oh.
The desire of wanting
Ah.
is
Yeah.
insatiable.
Okay. So you feel the feeling, and then there's a fear that goes along with it that it would be
Yeah.
insatiable.
And it's kind of in your stomach.
Okay. Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Which makes sense when you think about compulsive eating and that feeling, that immediate gratification that you get from eating
Yeah.
something good.
So when you start talking about that, what's the quality of your felt sense inside?
Well, there's a childlike excitement
Okay.
that I feel,
Okay.
and an immediate kind of like what Sage said, kind of like, let's get it now.
Uh-huh.
Let's,
Yeah.
let's do it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. Sense your energy there. Take a breath into that. Let that be there. Let's get it now. Yeah. The kids don't go, Mom, can I have a cookie at 2:00? Right?
Right.
They want it now. But that's interesting because there's that fear that it might be insatiable, which is, we've all been sated, right? We've all eaten until we couldn't move, basically. So that comes from our psychology. That comes from the feeling that we want something, but that thing that we want is actually just a metaphor for what we really want, but we really don't feel we can get. Does that make sense?
It feels like the objects of wanting that you think you want, they're arbitrary.
Mm-hmm.
I could have said this, I could have said this, I could have said this, I could have said a million things that I want. And yet, it's the act, or it's the hunger that is the essence
Yeah.
of it, not the actual object.
Yes. Yeah. So when you come back to the hunger, then the first thing you notice is that there's a little, did you say fear that it might be insatiable, right? Yeah. So that's where our psyche comes in. That's when our history comes in. And we want to start to ask ourselves, what am I really wanting? What am I really hungry for? And we do that not just by asking from the head, but by kind of feeling in like, Now I did the wanting, but I'm feeling the wanting. So what's this wanting feel like inside? And then you might come to a different kind of wanting. A more psychological, more core wanting. Is that making sense to anybody? Yeah. Yeah, so that's again where we slow down, take a breath in. And I'm going to guess that when we start to come a little closer to that, I'm not even going to guess because I can feel it. Things get a little heavier, don't they? Yeah? Yeah. Can you feel it in the room, you guys? You feel the shift in the room?
I feel like a sinking feeling.
Right. Okay.
It almost feels dangerous, like that I can become manic, like that I can get so excited about something, it's like dangerous, and then be seen as just kind of out of control almost.
And what would be out of control about you, for instance?
Just my energy and my excitement and sort of like frantic energy of chasing something, wanting something, being so excited about something. I definitely had like some judgment coming about like being manic.
Yeah.
That's probably an insecurity I have of like fluctuating, so then
Yeah, so there's a feeling that like that wanting might get out of control.
Yeah, or that I'd also be judged.
Or that you be judged, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that part, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Or like, calm down.
Yeah.
Like you're being like a child, you're out of control. Like your excitement is just, you just went like really crazy excited, like a kid, that's not okay. Or that there's something wrong with you for kind of like you're not stable, like you're all over the place.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. So, I won't go into the whole inquiry with you here about that, but when it comes up, you start to feel like, oh wow, my wanting could get really out of control. It makes me wonder about what was it like when you had the wanting, the excited wanting with the parents? Did they feel like they could hold that and they could relate to it and they could understand it and kind of set? Well, this is interesting because it's going right into the other part of the talk. Did they feel like they set an appropriate boundary for it and gave you a safe container in which to be excited, but to not lose control, to not lose your shit, to not come apart, really? I just saw that Mark Epstein book, the title's so good, it's called Going to Pieces Without Coming Apart. Or isn't that what it's called? Going to Pieces Without Falling Apart. Going to pieces without falling apart. So notice what's happening to you as we're talking about this, as we're feeling in. So this inquiry process that we do is we kind of start to look at something and we open it up. And it's interesting because this playfulness, this curiosity, we need the playfulness and the curiosity to be able to start to open up to ourselves, or otherwise it's heavy, it's judgy, it's fixy, right? So we need to have the playfulness there. We need to have that kind of like curiosity, that life wanting to live in the experience of looking back at ourselves. Just notice the room again. We know what's going on in a room because we know in our gut and our heart, but we don't tend to consciously know what's going on. We don't tend to consciously say, oh, the room, the quality of the room just shifted. Some of us may be sensitive like that. See? So maybe it changed a little bit again now. So is everybody seeing how our wanting gets changed, gets altered maybe by our history? You're getting a little sense of that? That our wanting, what we really want, there's some deeper wanting in that. And then when we come into that deeper wanting, then it starts to bring us closer to the things that feel more unresolvable inside of us. Yeah.
When you first asked what I wanted, I kind of thought myself kind of collapse, like, thinking that you mentioned that, I understand that it's maybe like well, I wanted these things in the past and that didn't work out, so I don't really want anything. But then when you just kept asking us what do we want, like, oh, like my breath suddenly shifted, like my heart that was starting to beat faster, I felt this fluttering in here, it was like being the child, like, oh, look at that would be fun. And I realized that it's that wanting without attachment, just seeing that, oh, that would be fun to do. Like just, okay.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of nice to have a Vitamix or,
Wanting without attachment.
Without attachment and how like that excitement and then kind of feeling that and then just kind of feeling it drop when you kind of encourage us to bring it deeper. And then I felt almost like when we were breathing in our meditation, I felt like it kind of rested in that place, like a place of contentment.
Interesting. So I kind of, when you were talking, I kind of imagine, putting the paddles up.
That's what it felt like.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that wanting gets smothered. It gets, for the most part. Maybe some people go more into the manic wanting, but for most of us, we're too scared of the manic wanting, or we see that we haven't gotten our needs met, so we're like, right? I'll just go off and never get what I want again. It's okay.
And then with this guys, it's like, oh, well, I'm a spiritual person, so
not attached.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Spiritual person, not attached. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, this is good. But for you, tell me again what happened, because you let it rise, it came, you felt it, and then something came back in.
Yeah, I think I was still in that place, and then when you're talking about that insatiable feeling, it was more in your stomach, and then I was trying to feel like what would happen if I bring my breath deeper and bring those feelings deeper.
Yeah.
And I felt like I kind of anchored it, like it wasn't just this anymore, it was like, it was like a deep breath. Like
So it anchored in your belly with the breath, and then you're talking about, I'm saying this also for the camera because other people will be watching this. And so you felt it anchor in your belly, and there was a sigh that came, and what was that like then at that point?
I felt like acceptance.
Okay, acceptance, and you said contentment before?
Contentment.
Right. Yeah. How is it now?
I feel like a bit in my head now, like buzzing almost, but maybe more grounded than I felt initially.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I think now I will talk about the other part of the talk, because I wanted to talk about this joy, which is really the connection between wanting and joy. And I think, it was an experiment to see if I asked what would happen, if that's true, if the joy quality would start to kind of bubble forth. And my sense is that it did. And then we saw, as something started to bubble forth, we saw kind of, in the Buddhist terms, they'd say the army of Mara came in and started attacking the joy, right? Judging or fearing or what, you know what I mean? So, what I'm going to say now is that almost nobody anywhere ever gets enough holding as a kid, right? Because it requires incredible attunement to hold all the spectrum of what a kid is. A kid's a joy this minute, he's just a tantrum the next minute, she's peaceful another moment and fluid, and another moment she's quiet and withdrawn, So the kid is all over the place, and the parents trying to live a life and manage maybe other kids and work and everything. So very few kids get their expressions held safely. And that's back to that thing where I said, you get the hand slapped, right? Mom doesn't say, oh, what's it feel like to want a cookie? What does it feel like here when you just see those cookies? Oh, you get bubbles there? Right? Oh, and it makes your tickly face, right? Mom doesn't say that, or she just says, no, we don't do that in this family. We don't reach for the cookie jar without asking Mommy, right? What's that create? All kinds of different possibilities, right? So, what you experienced there was something about allowing that to rise, but then actually bringing it back down into the belly. Actually letting it settle back down into a safe container. A safe container of being here, being present, and that's why we do the meditation, and that's why we do the embodiment meditation. Because it gives you contact with a safe container, a safe body in which to experience these things. When a kid is young, they don't have the nervous system to handle that shit. All right, so say that again. When a kid is young, they do not have the nervous system to handle the really strong emotions. They need to be co-regulated by a caregiver. So their emotions have to be kind of bounced off and molded and worked with so that they ultimately gain the capacity within themselves to hold the emotions. Whatever wasn't held tends to come into adulthood as a disowned feeling or a rejected feeling or an overemphasized feeling, right? So, what we need is, first of all, simply to realize, on one level, that we aren't actually those kids anymore that don't have the capacity to feel. That we do have the capacity to feel, and we do have the container in which to experience these feelings. We need practices. We need some meditation, some yoga, we need some good diet, we need things, we need to take care of ourselves so that this body can learn to expand and contain those things. But we are, as adults, and what this process of work does is it starts to give you the container to contain all those things that got left behind in childhood, or that got blown out of proportion in childhood. And so what's needed is a different quality. What's needed is a different capacity, which is a capacity that's more direct, more grounded, more still. And notice what's starting to happen in the room as I'm talking about this. Right? We need a capacity that's awake, that's present, that's clear seeing. Yeah, see what's happening as I'm talking about this. We need a capacity that's confident, we need a capacity that gives us the sense, I can and I will. We need to become capable of being our own container of holding whatever feelings happen within us. just notice for a minute what you're feeling as I'm talking about this. There's no right answer for how to be feeling right now. I'll give you that hint. Because when I start to talk about this, you might feel like, no way I can't. Or you might feel confused. Or you might feel like, yeah, I get a sense of what he's talking about. It's kind of right here, and I feel a little more seated and a little more grounded. Right? So I asked the question earlier, what do you want? But now, with this quality, I will ask the question, what do you need? What do you need for yourself in your life to become more of a holding container for all the miracle of experiences that you are? And you can answer or not answer, but consider that. What do I need to be able to be here for myself? And I really want to be careful here, because no judges allowed, right? Just judges can go really take a flying fuck off the highest building in Eureka. It ain't that high, but still. No judges allowed here. This is not about judgment. This is about sobriety. This is about the sobriety of saying, there are some things that I need in my life. I need this exercise. I need this kind of food, or I need to work on taking less of that kind of food, or I need to have more social time, or I need more quiet time, or I need more play, right? See? What do I need? What do I need in order to be able to hold myself more fully, more adequately? Did anybody come up with anything, by the way, you want to share?
The first thing that came to mind was more just awareness of my body.
Mm-hmm.
And then the word that came to my mind just as you started talking more was movement. Like I realized I fixed like patterns in my mind, and they stay in my mind, but just even just moving my body, going for a walk, doing some stretches or yoga, just that's what I need.
Okay. So movement. Yeah. So when you recognize that, how do you feel?
It seemed like it came so easily, like very freeing, like a release.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, I was trying to figure out what do I need? What does my body need? What does my spirit need? I just felt that's the right answer in the moment.
Yeah, so how is that for you? Do you feel more or less capable of holding yourself in that answer?
I feel more capable. I feel at ease.
Okay, capable, at ease. Yeah. So you're tuning into something. Not real complicated. Just need some more movement in certain ways. Yeah. Okay. So I didn't come and tell you that. Nobody came and gave you a reading. You just dropped in and checked it out and found something out, right? Yeah. So we know some things. We know maybe more about ourselves than, we want to admit. Again, I want to take the judge, just throw him up over the whole town and get the judge, him or her or them or whatever, out of here. Because it's not about judgment. It's just about, sobriety. Seeing clearly that we need to take care of ourselves in a certain way. Now, there's one final piece. Because you can feel how this gets a little tricky over here, because we can get these intuitions about what I need, but then there's all these kind of like, I don't know, and this problem, this obstacle, this, that, and that, right? So, what if we could bring it back around and connect it to the wanting? What if we could bring it back around and want to feel healthy and good and grounded in ourselves, and want to feel healthy in our bodies and alive and capable. But what if that was a little bit lighter than the old kind of, slogging up the diamond mines with a 100-pound sack of dirt on our backs kind of thing that we normally do? What if we could just kind of like be like, yeah, I actually want to be a little happier in this way, or I want to be a little bit more self-contained in this way, or more content in this way. And then maybe the final piece of just having a little compassion and knowing, well, there's probably reasons why I haven't done certain things so far. There's probably reasons for that. And if I'm kind to myself and I start to understand what's going on, and if I take a little time here and there to slow down and to sit, and if I get a little more connected into my body, those reasons will start to reveal themselves. And, maybe there's working with somebody to get help, or maybe there's coming to groups like this. Maybe there's other supports that need to come into your life. But, I remember back in the many years ago when I was doing Buddhist practices, they would do the metta practice. Some of you might know what the metta practice is. The may all beings be happy, may all beings be healthy, may all beings be safe and well. But I know that here in the States, they always start with, may I be safe, may I be happy, may I be well, may I be at peace, may I have ease. And so maybe bringing it back into accepting that it's okay to care for ourselves. Accepting that we're a mixed bag as human beings. We've got some great stuff going on. We've got some messes. But ultimately, it might be all right. It might be all right. It might not be a big mistake. Even when it feels like everything is going to shit. Everything is shifting under our feet. Maybe it's okay. Just maybe. Just putting it out there as a possibility.